Okay guys, listen up. Scenario. You have about an inch tear to the left. Then all you need to do is move your rest to the right. Right? No. Wrong. So your setup needs to be right before you even consider shooting through paper. So what does this imply? Well, the first thing you need to look at is your center shot correct. Your center shot is the way your arrow runs through your bow, right? So when you look at it from the back, you can align your string with your grip and then look down your arrow and see if it's aligned. Some bows have marks on it, so you can see it from the top, and then you can even align it with your stabilizer. That's another method. Most bows use 13/16 from the riser, so all you need to do is measure the side of your riser to the middle of your arrow, and that needs to be 13/16 of an inch. That's a very good starting point. So the second thing you need to look at, and then look from the side, make sure that your arrow is running 90 degrees or a little bit lower, the point, and then straight through the burger button or slightly higher on the high side of the burger button. Okay, so the third thing is your arrow rest needs to drop at the right time, and this will influence how your arrow comes out of your bow. I've got a video on this, and I will put the link up now. You can check out that video before you carry on if you suspect your arrow rest is not dropping at the correct time. And these are for ham skew rest. If you're shooting a QAD or a ripcord, they've got timing marks on the rest. You can just follow that, and that's a clutch system rest, and then it should be good. The fourth thing you need to do is make sure you have no fletch contact on your arrow rest. If you have fletch contact, it's useless doing a paper tuning. So sort that out first, and then you go back to the paper tuning. Number 5 is cam sync. Make sure your draw stops are touching at the same time. This will influence the way the arrow comes out of the bow vertically. Number 6 is nock fit. Make sure that your nock is fit properly to your string. If it's too tight, it will be inconsistent. How do you check this? Well, you nock an arrow, you take 2 fingers and you tap the string, and the arrow should fall to the ground. Guys, safety first. When you do this test, make sure you're not barefoot and you have broadheads on your arrows, even though it's a fun way of testing your reflexes. The last thing you should check is make sure that you have proper form. You need to be consistent, guys. If you have inconsistent grip, you're going to confuse yourself with this paper tuning method, because you need to be consistent when you're doing paper tuning. Also, be aware that too much string tension on your face will influence the way your bow paper tunes. And you need to have good form, and you need to sort out these form flaws before you do paper tuning. So let's look at a few scenarios we might find when we do paper tuning. Let's look at the first one. The first one is a perfect bullet hole. This is what you're looking for. It's a perfect round circle, perfect hole through the paper, and then with the fletchings coming out like you would expect. So there are a lot of videos on YouTube about paper tuning, and to be fair, a lot of them are outdated because the technology has changed since they've posted those videos. So in the old days, when you have a right tear, like I said in the beginning, you would move your rest over. These days, with the new technology on the bows, it's a lot easier to tune bows, that you can actually get a big tear out by just simply moving your cams, like on most bows. The most common system is moving your cams left and right to fix a tear. Now, most companies use the shimming method, which is shims that keep it in place. So the way to do this is you will need to put your bow in a bow press. You will need to then press the bow, push the axle out, and then if you want to move your cam to the right, you're going to need to remove a shim from the right and put it on the left-hand side, thus moving the cam to the right. Matthews has a top hat system, and if you look at your bow, they have different sizes, left and right, and there's actually a whole sleeve that goes in. You either need to swap it around, or if it's not going in the right direction, you need to buy another set of top hats. Elite, for instance, you move your limb pockets, and they've actually got the instructions on the limb pockets to tell you how to fix a tear. So let's look at the horizontal plane first. These are the top 2 here. So if you're getting a tail right, like this one over here, you will need to move your cams in the direction of the tear. So in this case, for a tail right, you will need to move your cams to the right. So keep in mind, moving your cams has a big effect on a tear, and even a thin shim like this will move it an inch if you move it top and bottom. At the end of the day, if you still have a slight horizontal tear after shimming your cams, you can move your arrow rest slightly, but don't move it too much because you don't want to be too far from the center point of the bow. So what do you need to do if you have a tail high? So tail high, in other words, your arrow is sitting like this, or you have fletch contact. If you don't have fletch contact, you will need to move your arrow rest up to correct it, or you will need to move your knocking point down to correct it. Keep in mind, if you move your knocking point, you will probably need to move your peep as well because it will influence it. So what do you need to do if you have a tail low? Well, tail low, your arrow is sitting like this. In other words, then you will need to move your arrow rest down, or you will need to move your knocking point up. Also, if it's a tail low, you might have a spine problem. Usually, if you can't get a tail low out, it means your arrow is too stiff. If that's the case, then you'll need to get a weaker arrow. But before you go buy another arrow, go to a pro shop or get a friend with a weaker spine and shoot that first. It might not be the problem. So what do you need to do when you have a combo of the problem? So say in this case, you have a combo of the tail right and a tail high. So in this case, I like to fix the horizontal problem first. In there, move your cams, or if it's a slight tear, move your arrow rest. And then from there on, I will fix the high tear by moving my arrow rest up. So in this case, this is a tail left and a tail low at the same time, and it's giving me a tail low left. So in this case, again, I'm going to fix the horizontal problem, and then I'm going to go over and fix the vertical problem. So in order to fix that tear, I'll need to sort out the horizontal problem, which is a tail left. I'll either need to move my arrow rest to the right if it's a slight tear, or I will need to move my cams to the left. And then after that, if I shoot it through paper again and it's just tail low, I will move my arrow rest down and hopefully get a bullet hole in. So here's another tip you can use that might help you in the field. After you've tuned your bow and you're getting very good arrow flight, keep a bare shaft with you, even if it means buying another shaft, extra shaft. Don't fletch it, keep it in your quiver. And then after you've tuned your bow through paper, you shoot the bare shaft and you make a note or you take a photo of where it's hitting into relation with your fletched arrows, say on 20 yards. And then if you have a problem in the field, like say at a tournament, and something doesn't feel quite right, your arrows are flying bad, then all you need to do is go to 20 yards, shoot your fletched arrows, and then see where your bare shaft is hitting. If it's hitting in a different place, you know, well, something moved, there's your problem. And then from there on, you can adjust your bow so that your bare shaft is hitting at the same spot it did in the beginning before the problem. Obviously, guys, don't move your sight. The problem is either going to be on your arrow rest or your knocking point or your cam sink. So let's say you do the test, you stand on 20 yards, you get out your bare shaft, you suspect you have a problem, you shoot your bare shaft and you see that it is shooting left from where it used to shoot. Then what you need to do is you need to move your arrow rest in that direction. So you always follow the bare shaft with your arrow rest. If you're shooting a Bowtech or Elite, this will be a good time to check your limb pockets or your cams to see if anything have moved. If you find that your screws are loose in your cams or your limb pockets, then that's probably where your problem is, and you're going to need to adjust your cams and your limb pockets accordingly to get it back to where it was. I will put a chart up now because there's a lot of things to remember, and this includes where to move your cams to if that is the case and it's not your arrow rest. I hope this video will sort out a lot of problems that you had in the past and even possibly prevent a lot of problems you'll have in the future, and that your arrows will fly beautifully and straight and that you will live happily ever after. Thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you soon.